Welcome to Bring Out Your Badass Self, a movement to break your negative thoughts and habits and instead focus on building each other up and encouraging fearless authenticity.
Each week, we will get vulnerable and share experiences alongside our guests and audience. Come rediscover your inner badass self.
Well, good morning. I don't know if you guys are hearing me twice. For whatever reason, this morning I was hearing the music twice. So you'll have to let me know how everything is sounding. I don't know why on our end we were hearing the music twice. So let me know if you heard that as well. But good morning and happy Friday. It is November 14th. And welcome, fellow badasses. And I'm looking forward to today's conversation with Jason Stein. And I just want to hear from you. Let me know that you are here and just give me an update on how things are going for you. And just excited to be able to chat with you guys today, especially on this particular topic. So last week we started the conversation on the law of attraction and how to manifest. And today we're going to be talking with Jason Stein to understand what he does related to the law of attraction and manifesting. And I thought that I might start off today just telling you guys a little bit about some things that are going on, and then we'll get into things. So I think that this is related to today's topic, and I was unsure whether I wanted to share this or not. But this week, I was at a conference and I got a phone call. I noticed that my doctor was calling me. And I said, you know what, I don't have time right now. And so I didn't answer the phone. And the doctor called me back the next day. And I was about to have breakfast with some individuals. And I thought, you know what, that's not normal for them to call me back. And so I was like, let me answer the phone. And so what I ended up finding out and listening to them is that I had gone in for my annual, so having a mammogram, having a gynecological test, all of those types of things. And they said they saw something in my right breast that I needed to come back and have some diagnostics. And so I'm taking in all of this information. And she wants me to write some stuff down, and I wasn't at a place that I could do that. So she was like, I need you to call me back. And then my husband was also trying to reach me. And so I called him back, and here I still haven't processed the information that I just heard from her. And my husband's like, I have some news to tell you. And I said, well, I have some news to tell you too. And he's like, okay, go ahead. And I said, well, I just got a call from the doctor and I have to go back to get another checkup from my mammogram. And the doctor, saw something. And all of a sudden, he was like, well, what is it? And for whatever reason, all these emotions just came over me and I just started crying. And he was like, well, what's going on? And I'm like, hang on. I need to I'm processing stuff. I just found out I'm needing to cry. So I'm releasing all of this emotion of just hearing this from the doctor. And my husband's like, look, uh, I'll be there with you. We'll get through this, whatever it is. And and I told him, I said, look, I do know that most women that are called back, most of the time it's nothing. And also knowing my body, knowing also from my mother's experience and things like that, a lot of times it's like fatty tissue, or your breast is dense, or things like that. But just the emotion of that. But I ended up putting in my mind, I was like, you know what, I'm manifesting what it is that I want the outcome to be, and everything's going to be all right. No matter what, family, will be there. I will be fine. I'm manifesting good thoughts on those types of things. So I think that it's important that as we go through life and as we go through things, that we understand that we may go through challenges, and those are to help us to maybe reevaluate things that are going on in our lives. And so I don't know the purpose of why it is that I'm going through this, but for me, I'm just continuing to stay positive and continuing to look at the things that are amazing in my life and staying in gratitude. So I thought that I might share that with you, just because I know that a lot of other women go through this, and it's not something that we tend to talk about publicly. So I just wanted to share my experience, and as people go through these things for themselves, that they will, also understand that other people go through them, and maybe me sharing my experience will help someone else. So I just wanted to share that with you today, in sort of the emotions and some of the things that I'm going through right now. I see people on, and I don't know if we're maybe having some technical difficulties, but please say hello as you guys are coming in. I see J Ro is here. She says, "Good morning, sunshine. Hope you have a badass day, my friend. Sending love and hug with all the information you just received from your doctor, manifesting good thoughts and positivity for you." So I appreciate that, Jen. As you guys come on, please say hello. I do see other people that are on as well. I don't know. I feel like I had a little bit of technical issues at the beginning, so I hope that we're connected. I show, check marks in all the different areas, so I'm hoping that you guys are seeing this. I've seen a lot of people come in. All right, we have David DCG. So welcome, David. I think this is the first time that you have joined, so thank you so much for joining us today. We also have Heather saying, "Happy Friday, fellow badasses." Happy Friday to you, Heather, my fellow badass. She's actually going to be joining me for the law of compensation, so in December. So I appreciate you coming on, Heather. And so continue to say hello, but what I would like to do is I would like to go ahead and bring Jason on and do an introduction to him. So hello, Jason.
Hi.
Good morning.
Good morning to you. Thanks for having me, Sarah.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, I would like to do a little bit of an official introduction to Jason, and then I'd like to just have him tell us a little bit more about him. And so Jason Stein is a licensed acupuncturist, turned wellness and executive business coach. He is based in Joseph, Oregon, and he has built is it Wallowa?
It's Wallowa.
Wallowa. Okay, Wallowa Avenue Wellness Center from the ground up. And through his wellness-driven leadership work, he guides coaches, owners, and mission-driven founders to increase profits, strengthen relationships, and create sustainable success. And his practices are rooted in the ancient wisdom of Chinese medicine, and his approach brings balance to both the inner and outer life of business and the business of life. And so, Jason, maybe you can add a little bit more, give us a little more context of like who you are.
Oh, great. So I'm married. I have two small kids and two older kids, and love to hunt and fish, and used to live in the big city of Portland, just over 1 million, and moved to Joseph, Oregon, which has 1,200 population and one person for every 2.6 miles in the county.
Ooh.
So I remember when we took my youngest daughter to Portland to see the Nutcracker for the first time. She was 4, and there's no streetlights for an hour and a half. So she wanted to know what the red, yellow, green things were that we kept seeing.
Oh my gosh. So
And yeah, I split my time. I have a wellness center with my wife, who's a naturopath. I'm an acupuncturist. I treat patients still 2 half days a week. And then I do a lot of consulting with social impact companies. And just happy to be here today.
Awesome. Well, I'm looking forward to today's conversation, and you and I got connected through Stacy Ho, and I actually saw Stacy this last week. We were at the same conference, and she presented there as well. And so Stacy actually worked with me for a period of time on CRM consulting. And I was glad that she connected us. We had a really good first chat the first time we met.
Yeah, Stacy was a client 15 years ago, maybe, and so I'm a relation-driven guy. So I just believe that if you have good relationships in your life, anything's possible.
Well, I do have to tell you that one of the things that you did that helped inspire me that I have been doing is the first time you and I met, there was a lot of stuff going on. Like it was, we're both coming from different meetings, and you just asked me, "Hey, can we take a moment just to take a moment of silence and just meditate for just a moment?" And I just love that. And so I have been starting to incorporate that, and I've actually been encouraging our company to do the same thing because we're going back to back in meetings. And so even on our company meeting, I started the whole meeting off that way, where
Uh,
I just asked everybody to set, in silence for us just to become focused and be present in the moment. And I know it probably felt weird, for some people, but I really wanted to do it just to give people permission to say, you know what, I need a moment to
mm.
just get balanced and to be present.
So I can tell you 5 other companies are doing this now, and it's just a 1-minute meditation. It's a power pause before you start your meetings, and it's a great way to reset because we're all operating from the neck up most of the time. We got a lot of activity in the brain, and it's really important to drop back down into the body, and that's what 60 seconds can do. So I'm
Yeah.
really happy to hear that what I shared is now touching lives that I'll never meet.
I love that. I know. Isn't it amazing how something that we can do can have that ripple effect to other people?
Yes.
It's awesome. Well, there's also Kimberly here, who is also at ProjectCon, which is now going to be Elevate, right, Kimberly? And so she says, hello, so good to see you this year. It was great to see you. I hope your party was also successful. They had a party at the same location as we did, but just on different floors. And so
Nice.
it was great to see you, Kimberly. We do have a LinkedIn user. I have forgot to get connected, so I'm not sure who this is, but they said, hello, my beautiful badass. It's been a while, but I'm glad to be seeing you on BOYBAS again. And so I'm not sure who this is, but thank you so much. And I'll check back in a little bit, or just let me know who you are. It's just coming in as LinkedIn user. We also have Bryce coming in saying good morning to everyone. It's great to see you again, Bryce. A full week of non-communication in a lot of ways to the rest of the company because we were just immersed in that conference. And then Heather also said, yes, meditation is such a wonderful tool for work, especially when switching from one task to another or coming out of a period of intense work. I love that. All right. Well, what I would like to do is maybe start off with a question on related to other people instead of related to you. So, what do you think people, or why do you think more people don't use the law of attraction more often?
Mm. I have a theory. I've never seen it written, and I've never read about it. But my theory is that, like, as babies and toddlers, we're born with the law of attraction. And
Mm,
if you ever see a 3-year-old ask for ice cream at 10 a.m. in the morning, and their parent says no, what do? They ask again.
or just go get it. I don't know.
Or just go get it. And I feel like as children, we're pretty magical, and we have
Mm,
magical thinking and magical possibility until teenage years.
mm,
Sometime between 13 and 22, there's an authority that just hammers us and
yeah.
says, the world's hard. You can't do it that way. Don't ask too many questions. Don't ask for too much help.
Mm.
Like, just zip it up
Mm.
and be a good boy or girl or human being.
Uh, I 100% agree with you. I think about that in my own kids when they say, this, I'm going to do this. Like my daughter has big dreams. Like she doesn't want to work, but she wants to make lots of money. And part of me is like, oh, like, is that possible? And then I'm like, you know what, Sarah, just shut up. Like, maybe she'll be able to do that. I don't know. She really likes to have fun, and whenever I think about her, I think she could probably do that. She could have fun and maybe make money. I think anything's possible. So I try to be careful about shutting down those dreams because you just never know.
Yeah, it's a combination. Like, my youngest boy is 9, and he just sold his first painting. And so I
Wow.
think that to have a manifesting quality, to continue to foster that, but to have entrepreneur skills, that's
Mhm.
the double whammy. Like,
Mhm.
both of those are very handy rather than um, just wishful thinking, because there's a difference between manifestation and wishful thinking.
Agreed. Yeah, last week we talked about the different steps to manifesting, and everything from like attracts like.
Mhm.
So the things that you are wanting, so it's really visualizing and understanding what you want, but it's also about letting go in a lot of ways as well, of allowing the universe to bring you those things, because a lot of times we have a specific way we think things need to happen. And sometimes the universe actually has maybe a better plan for us that we didn't even know about. And so allowing that freedom to have those other things come to us. So we talked about having those ideas or those nudges from the universe, or those signs from the universe that maybe something we didn't even notice. So having us understand those things. But then we also talked about taking inspired action. So it still does require you to take steps towards, even if it's small steps along the way, to then see how it continues to bloom.
Mm. One of my favorite bumper stickers is, "I made plans and God laughed." So, yeah, I mean, the universe is gonna do what the universe does, and our job is to show up every day.
Yeah, I love that. Well, I'd like to understand more from you. Like, do you have a specific story, a specific success story, maybe where you attracted a specific outcome? And I know in talking with you, you probably have multiple, but maybe one that sort of stands out for you.
Yeah, I do have so many in my lifetime, but the one that stands out, and before I tell you about the one that stands out, I wanna tell you, I became an acupuncturist, and I right away was given a job in a hospital, building an integrative medicine program. So I was like 28. This is back. I'm older now, so there were pagers, and in the state of New Mexico, I was Dr. Stein, and it's when Doogie Howser was popular, and so I just like I was in way over my head. But how I got there was I worked in my favorite faculty member's clinic, and I saw these. This is back with cassette tapes. There was a series of cassette tapes called Personal Power by Tony Robbins.
Mm,
And this is like way back in the early 90s. And I listened to him. And one of the things I learned from listening to him is you got to write it down. Like, you have to take it from the ethers of vision into the 3D world of something concrete that you can hold, you can see. And so in 2007, uh, let me back up for a second. I stayed in that job for 3 years. I built the program and I handed it over to another acupuncturist, but I didn't love Albuquerque, New Mexico, where I was living. I wanted to move to Portland, Oregon. And so I moved without any contacts with my wife at the time, and started from scratch again. And I thought, oh, you just write it down and it'll happen. And didn't quite happen that way. But we had children. And when my second child was born, I started moving into coaching. It was a rough financial time in my life. There was another new baby, and I knew that I needed to generate more income. So I sat down and I remembered the things that I learned from Tony. and I wrote down exactly what I was looking for, which is I did not want to be a 40-hour a week person. I wanted a part-time position that was bikeable from where I lived, that really allowed me to use my skill sets both as a business coach and as an acupuncturist.
Mm.
And I kid you not, 1 mile away, I saw an advertisement that they were looking for a chair of professional development for one of the top acupuncture colleges in the nation. And so I filled out the information, and like 3 weeks later, I was hired, and I was given a full-time salary for a part-time position. It was a mile from my house. And I believe it's because I wrote out exactly what I was looking for.
Yeah. And you stated what you were looking for versus what you weren't looking for. Is that
Not
right?
only what I was looking for, but how it would make me feel, which I think is really
Mm.
important to
Yes.
adapt the emotional connection to it.
Yes, that is one of the things that I understand a part of manifesting is you really have to feel it. Like if you don't really feel it, so we even talked about last week how even just understanding all of the different senses. So how would it smell? What does it look like? Like what colors does it look like? How would it feel like the breeze coming as you're riding the bike? So all of the different senses of imagining that happening.
Now, the beautiful thing about this is I stayed in that career for 10 years, and I was given so many opportunities. I was on an NIH grant learning about research in the integrative world. I was really learned a lot from other faculty members, and it was just a great opportunity that went beyond what my mind could visualize, because I think I was a little focused on, I need help, like a stopgap solution to not bleed money and to do something to generate revenue that really wasn't going to kill my soul, but was going to liven it.
Yeah. I love that. I want to say hello to a couple of people that have joined us. So it was Megan is the unknown messenger from LinkedIn. We also have a new person coming in from YouTube asking us where we're coming from. And so you're in Joseph, Oregon. I'm in the Atlanta metro area. So welcome to BOYBAS. And we look forward to having you listen to Jason today as I interview him. I think this is Megan again. I moved from Portland, Oregon, all alone at the direction of spirit. And so I love that, Megan. And then Carmen's joining us. She's out in California. She says, good morning and happy Friday. My favorite, beautiful badass. Have the best day. So thank you so much, Carmen, for joining us today. So I love that. I love that the things that you really visualized and that you really felt it, and all the things that you were really wanting. And I do think that that's important. What do you think are maybe thoughts or beliefs about this outcome that supported your ability to manifest your desire, or maybe which ones have held you back in the past?
Which thoughts, or can you ask
Yeah,
the question a different way?
yeah, so maybe thoughts or beliefs
Mm,
that you had that helped supported the outcome to
mm.
manifest it, or when it hadn't worked, what do you think held you back?
Got it. I think what has held me back is my subconscious, which is an interesting thing,
Yeah.
because at a conscious level, you can be like, yeah, like I rock the party. This is going to happen. And then at a subconscious level, it's like your ego just needs to work some things out and
Mm,
needs to surrender and let go. And if you don't get to that subconscious level, for me personally, it has been a big roadblock. The other thing is, it was interesting because I was looking at us doing the interview today, and I've, like most people, probably on my phone more often than I need to be. And I can admit that doom scrolling is like, I'm not immune to it. And I find myself wasting time looking at small clips that mean nothing to me, that kind of numb me out. And I truly believe, I had this insight last night, that scrolling without intention is probably the biggest limited belief you
Mm.
can do. Like that strategy is going to have you compare yourself to other people. It's going to probably create some lesser than values. It may spark some inspiration for, if you're on TikTok for 7 seconds till you get to the next reel or whatever it's called over on TikTok.
Mhm.
And ultimately, if you want to manifest, you got to get focused.
Yeah. Uh, I resonate with that. Sometimes as I'm, doing the doom scrolling and stuff like that, I'll stop myself because like I'll hear sometimes some really inspirational things, but then sometimes you hear a lot of just negativity. And it's like, okay, Sarah, like, is this helping you? Like, is
Right.
this helping you in life? In dwelling on, these things that you can't control in life as well. And so I think that very much could resonate with a lot of people in focusing on what it is that we really want in life, having and as I said at the beginning of the show, it's having gratitude for the things that you also do have as well. I think are some of the things that sometimes also hold us back is not understanding like where you're at and also celebrating some of those successes along the way of where you're at and recognizing the path that you have achieved as well. What are your thoughts on that?
Uh, yeah, I think it's good to reflect on. It's easier to look ahead than it is to reflect on what's already happened.
Mhm.
In regards to the original onset for me and writing out, one of the things on the cassette tape was to make 100 goals.
Mm.
And I threw it in a filing cabinet. We had those back then. And 10 years later, I pulled it out and 20 to 25% had been completed. And I had just forgotten about them.
Yeah.
So I think that there really is an energetic. I also think you have to surround yourself
Mm.
with people, not just that are like-minded, because you could be in a starving artist group where everybody has possibility, but no one's making any money or selling any of their passion projects.
Mhm.
So one of the things I've done is I've gravitated towards millionaires and multimillionaires where I have friends that just have cracked the money code.
Mm.
And one of the things I've loved to do is, even when I've really struggled with money, because there have been times in my life that money was really an issue, and taking them to lunch or dinner and paying for it.
Mhm.
And the beauty of it is twofold. One is you're connecting with someone that has a skill set that you don't have or I didn't have. And two, they're so not used to it. Like they're so used to everyone just waiting for them to pay the bill.
Yep. Yep.
And so when you can start flipping things on its head and do the unexpected, a lot of magic can come through that way.
Yeah. I love that. When you start to think about manifesting, what do you think are some of the biggest misconceptions that people have?
Oh, I think the biggest misconception is that it's like a spiritual vending machine. Like you put in your manifestation list and you pull the lever and that then it just pops out in the
Mm.
bottom. Or the other misconception, it's voodoo and you just have to grind it out and work hard and it doesn't matter how much time you spend internally. It's all an external game. And I think that's
Mm.
really not true.
Yeah. The other thing recently that I was thinking about is that, and I heard someone say this, and it made me ponder, is that you have to remain positive. Like you have to, and as I started to sort of evaluate things, it's sometimes it's really sometimes it could be the trauma or it could be the pain that actually manifests things. So I don't know that that's necessarily true. I think in order to retain it or to continue forward with it, that you have to find a way to release some of the trauma or the pain or those things. Like you can't stay in that particular state, but I
Mm.
don't think that positivity is the only way that you can manifest things. So I think that's a misconception because I see I talked about this last week, like comedians go off of sometimes the trauma or the things that stood out to them, like they make jokes about it and things like that, and that manifests itself. But if you stay at that particular level and you're not growing or learning from it, I think, that a lot of times people will manifest it, but then they'll also lose it because you need to continue to evolve. What do you think about that?
Oh, I love it. I think life's a paradox, and that
Mm,
we are so used to black and white thinking, on and off, binary, uh,
mhm,
that we forget that all the great mysteries had paradoxes in them. And
mhm.
so, yes, I'm a fan of positive psychology and positive thinking. And
Yep.
yes, one of the most beautiful things in the world is a woman giving birth naturally, like without an epidural. Not that there's anything wrong with an epidural, but it's a different experience.
Mm,
And they call it the ring of fire, right? When the baby comes through. And that must be uncomfortable. I'll never know. But with that amount of pain comes beauty, right?
mm,
And so I'm a huge fan for trauma, EMDR, rapid eye movement therapy.
yeah.
I'm a huge fan of uh, guided imagery. Um, Bella Ruth Napperstack. And I just want to stop for a moment and just thank you for being so raw and candid at the beginning of the conversation.
Oh, yeah.
I don't
I
wanna skate
appreciate that.
over, like, that's a big dog deal, and you were able, like, our life is meant to be a canvas for our creativity, and I just appreciate you sharing that, and I wanna tell a story because I had a patient last week that called me in a panic
Mhm.
because they had a growth on their lip that they got diagnosed, and the doctor was very messy in explaining it. And when I looked at the labs, it looked precancerous. And precancerous means it's not cancer yet, but if
Right.
you don't take care of it, it could be.
Mhm.
Doctor didn't explain it that way. And my patient like thought he would now had cancer and was going to die.
Right.
And I think that providers need to do a better job of telling themselves they don't know.
Yeah.
Like we don't know what's going to happen. We can show up and we can be positive. But that leads me into like the paradox we're talking about. As opposed to always ruling out placebo, 1 in 3 people in the US will experience anxiety in their lifetime that's like disordered anxiety.
Mhm.
And placebo for anxiety is 30 to 60%. It might be 30 to 50, but 50% is you're like, that's a lot of percentage.
Yeah.
And so why do we try to carve things out and dissect things into pieces, over medicate things
Mm.
rather than work on manifestation? So coming back to Bella Ruth Napperstack used to have audio tapes that if you had cancer, Blue Cross Blue Shield would give you the tape as
Wow.
part of either pre-surgery or chemo or radiation, whatever you were going to do, right?
Yeah.
And I'm not sure they do that anymore.
Mm.
Now, Larry Dossey has done tremendous amount of work of prayer in medicine.
Mhm.
And why are all these things fringe?
Yeah.
Well, why can't they be included in like first line of defense? Let's pray for someone, or let's um, use a guided imagery tape, or let's go get some acupuncture, or let's
Mhm.
let's drink more water. Let's go to the basics. Yeah.
Yeah. Agreed 100%. The first thing that I did is I went and looked up, binaural beats,
Mhm.
music, that
Mhm.
was supposed to be specific to breasts, and so
Yeah.
I just sat there and meditated and, told my breasts that I love it, that I appreciate it, that I love the feminine aspect because, in looking at, in remembering, in looking I have a book that talks about, the body and the things that are related to it. I remembered that, things related to the breasts have to do with the feminine. So I was, telling my feminine self that I loved it. And so I just sat there and visualized and just, focused on appreciating that part of me. And I think that
Yeah.
it's those types of things that are important. Like, I've done acupuncture, and by the way, I've changed my husband. He was all against it. And he was having elbow issues, but he just, Aleve and different things were not helping him at this point. And I was like, look, just try it, like, seriously. And so he was very skeptical. And so the person that I've used in the past, I love him. And he was like, I go in there and he's like putting all these needles on the opposite side. And I'm like, why is he doing the opposite side?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
he's like, my pain's over here. He
Right.
goes, but I was like, oh, he's trying to understand. Like, I understand it's the meridian. And so he's trying to understand where things are actually coming from. And then he goes, and then he finally put it in, where the actual pain was. But he went a couple times and then he was good. And
Yeah.
he's like, I'm a believer now.
Yeah. I love acupuncture. I've been doing it for 25 years, and it just, when you look at manifestation, you got to eliminate the blockages.
Mhm,
And when you look at our body, we forget that it's not just meat and bones, that there's
mhm.
energy. We have a life
Yes.
force. You can see it in the eyes, you can feel it in the pulse. Like, we have a life force.
Yeah.
And if our life force isn't alive, we have to start asking ourselves, what's one step we can take to bring more aliveness? Because nobody knows how long they have, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. I'm gonna pull up a couple of comments that have come in.
sure.
So Heather says, "I think a big part of manifesting, let me come, writing it down is to also understand your why motivation. The comment about your subconscious getting in the way relates to this as well, because if you don't understand your motivation in addition to what you truly want, it won't happen because it's not actually the right thing. What do you think about that?"
I agree. I think you gotta have the right intention,
Mhm.
right? And, I really like how that was written, where it's not just, um, think it and it happens. There's a process that really helps kind of align your energy with your values, with your actions.
Yeah, I love that. And then Megan added, so let me scroll up. She says, I find that the more I scroll, the less relevant and empowering the content becomes. So I've learned to shut it down as soon as the quality wanes. This also trains the algorithm to give you more of what you want to see. Stop the mindless scrolling. I agree.
Nice.
Yeah, I love that. So, this reminds me of sort of like the daily habits or sometimes the rituals that we do.
Mm,
Because in the morning time, I will spend time where I want to be inspired. So I will take time and maybe I'll journal things, but sometimes I'll scroll and I'll look at things as well, just to be able to see things that are inspiring me that day. And so, what daily habits or rituals do you recommend to even like your clients to adopt to tune into their desired outcomes?
I think the main thing is, there is no one size fits all. So I don't really make recommendations. I listen
Mm,
first, and then I maybe, brainstorm with them. Because for me personally, it's a gratitude practice.
mhm,
Like, I do a gratitude meditation, and then every night, my family sits at the dinner table, no phones at the table, and
mm,
there's a high, low, high. What was the high of the day, the low of the day, the high of the day?
yeah,
So, we call that like an Oxford cookie where you sandwich the low in between.
yeah,
And, I also, write down, I use a Panda dry erase workbook
okay,
so that I can save on paper, and you have a marker where you can use it. And I usually have 3 big goals per quarter, and then I can narrow it down to 3 things that are most important to get done during the day.
Mm,
And it's amazing once you start getting a system in place, because most people either have a system that they're religious to, that really works for them, or they have no system and they're just kind of really losing steam
mm.
because they're hopping from someone telling them they should do it this way or they should do it that way. Or there's really 100 ways. Every human being is differently designed. And so it's about finding the way that works for the individual.
Yeah, I like that. I do think that it's different for everyone because we all have our own talents and ways that we may even think about things. So it's finding really what does work for you. I think it's being also mindful of when you have manifested something. Like, what was your mindset like? What were the things that you did to generate that? And then think about that, utilize that and continue to learn from it in the future as well.
Yeah, I'm thinking about the story that I have a friend who is a real shaman. She's an acupuncturist, and you meet people and they're just tapped into another realm.
Mm,
And um, in my early 20s, no, mid 20s, I really wanted a family. Like I
mm,
was just yearning to settle down, have a family. And she wrote me a ceremony. And I had already started dating a woman. And so I didn't do the ceremony. And I married that woman. And it was a really rough, like, we cared about each other, but our personalities and our values were very different. We came from
mm,
different backgrounds. And raising kids when you have different values and different backgrounds can be really challenging.
yeah.
And so we came apart. And I spent a year in healing and I started dating someone else and I realized I never did the ceremony.
Mm,
And so I did the ceremony. I broke up with the woman I was dating and I started reading this book called Calling in the One. And it's like a
mm,
manifestation book for relationships. And I met my wife, who we married 11 years now and have 2 kids and I adore. Like I didn't
mm,
know that it was possible for me to have that much capacity to love someone else more than myself. Like
mm,
I love myself, but there's a way in which my family means so much to me and my wife continues to inspire and blow me away. Now, my favorite part of this story is as I was going through the exercise and calling in the one, she was reading the book and going through the exercises of calling in the one.
wow.
And we met at the gym. So it wasn't online dating. You know, she was running up the stairs and I was running down and we were partnered up to do the number of push-ups in a minute. And I went first. I pumped out 45 and I was like, oh, thank God I didn't embarrass myself. And then she did 57 and I was like, oh boy.
Ah,
Yeah. So now we own a micro gym and really, if you're looking for partnership, I have 2 words of wisdom. The first is have some deal breakers.
mm,
You know, um, I had often dated people, and I hope this doesn't come across as judgmental because that's not what I'm meaning to do. But I dated a lot of women that didn't go to college, that had some emotional challenges. So they were often on an antidepressant and they
mm,
were bad with money.
mm,
And I started making deal breakers that I was only going to date people that weren't on pharmaceuticals that were altering brain chemistry, that were college graduates, and that wanted to be good with money if they weren't currently. And they were really open to that. And the last piece is that they love their family, even if their family was crazy.
I love that.
And
Do
my
you know what
mother-in-law, whew, she's crazy and I love her.
do you know what your wife's, desires, what she was seeking?
I do. She's seeking a man rather than a boy.
Mm.
She was seeking someone that she could work out with, because working out is a big part of her life. And she was seeking someone that she could feel safe with, to be vulnerable with,
Mm.
because she's a huge caretaker, and caretakers, you got to look out for them, because
Yeah.
they won't say they need help, and they won't offer to like have the focus. They actually don't like the focus to be on them.
Mm-hmm.
And at the same time, sometimes that's exactly what they need.
Mm. Yeah. It's interesting. I think that my husband is a caretaker in a lot of ways. Like he is the person. He is and he isn't. It's interesting, the balance between the two. He is a caretaker when it comes to, like, he is the one that cooks food for us. Like he is the one that prepares those things. In a lot of ways, he is the person that takes care of the household,
Yeah.
items, and making sure things, like last night I flew in, and as I was taking off, he's like, "What time do you think you're going to be getting home?" And I was like,
Sweet.
"Well, here's when, the flight's, saying that it's going to come. It depend on whether we get off on time. And then, of course, traffic getting into Atlanta
Yeah.
at rush hour." And so I texted him, but he was like, "Okay, I'm planning this for a meal. I'll have it ready like when you get here." And so he's very nurturing in that way. He also lacks empathy. So DNA wise, they actually in the test found, that he has low empathy. So when it comes to like that type of nurturing, I have to go, I need empathy right now. And all of a sudden he'll go, "Oh," and like
Yeah.
he'll give me empathy, but it's not something that he naturally has.
I think that's true for most men.
Is it?
Not all men, but I would say that many men weren't raised to be super empathetic.
Mm,
Now, that's not all men, but
yeah.
many of us, like, you know, I worked with a really empathetic man for a long time who, for a long time, I just wanted to be more like him. And then I realized, well, I can learn some compassion skills, both for myself and others, and empathy and active listening. All of those are teachable, but I should just be more like me.
Yeah.
The more me I can be, the more everything gets in alignment.
Mm. I do like that. Interestingly enough, my daughter has already been manifesting the person that she wants later on in her life. And she says that she wants someone adventurous like her father, but she
Mhm.
wants someone with empathy. Um,
Great.
so, so I'm like, all right,
Yeah, how old
so
is she? How old is
she's
she?
14. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, good, good. So my son is a magic manifester, and maybe
Yeah.
it's because like we homeschool, and so there's not a lot of authority in his life other than his mom and I just cultivating both him and his sister, and just they're magical. And I remember twice last year we would go to yard sales, and I was like, what are you gonna find?" And he's like, "A skateboard." Finds a skateboard. But the
Yep.
most bizarre one was he wanted this. There's a company that makes recycled plastic boats, but the boat and the plastic are like really, they've done it in a very social impact way, the company has.
Mm-hmm.
I forget the name of the company. But he wanted one of those, and we went, and sure enough, that's what he found. And that's when we see those signs of like, oh yeah, it's totally the realm of possibility is always there.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So he was seeing it, he was visualizing it, and like, this is what I'm looking for. He's just like, where is it?
Yeah, and I think that we can foster in the next generation that
Hmm.
it doesn't have to be so hard.
Yeah.
Sometimes we think about manifestation of like, I have to write it out, and then I have to visualize it, and then I have to, and it becomes more stressful than like, oh yeah, I'm open. It's going to happen or it's not going to happen, but I really can see that it can happen.
Yeah. I've had that happen where I've just told my husband, "This is what's gonna happen," and he's like, all right, he's like, and he was doubtful, and then it happened, and then ever since then he's like, okay, like when you say something's gonna happen, it's gonna happen. So it is
Yeah.
interesting to see the change of when you see someone accomplish something that you're like, that ain't gonna happen. Like that's quite a bit.
Yeah, and you can celebrate that not only did it happen, but that people around you can say it's not gonna happen, and that doesn't have to stop you.
Yeah, exactly.
I had
So
a, manifestation goal this year to do public speaking, and, I have a client that out of the blue, like, I didn't have any kind of strategy of how it was gonna happen other than I was ready for it to happen, and one of my larger clients said, "We're doing a company retreat with all our independent contractors. Will you be the master of facilitation?" And I was like, "Never done that, but I'm willing to."
yeah.
So, and it was like, 5 miles away from George Lucas's farm in Northern California. It was a beautiful spot. And really, I laugh because if we can get back to that childhood magic,
Hmm.
I think everyone listening to this might be really surprised by what can actually manifest.
Yeah. That childlike wonder and belief that things can happen.
And curiosity.
Yes. Definitely curiosity. So I want to say hello to Maria. She said, "Ah, I made it." Uh, she also said, "My memes deal breakers for me was always, is he Italian? And if not, the second question was, well, is he Catholic?" And so, all right. She said, "Me and daughter did that one time almost instantly, and it was so fun when the universe responded. We wanted fireplace tools and literally turned around at a consignment sale, and there they were."
They were just waiting for you. Yep.
I love that.
Hmm.
So, a lot of times when we're manifesting, it's not just about what we want, but we sometimes have these limiting beliefs or mental blocks
Mhm.
that interfere. And we talked about this last week and sort of the unlearned lessons or the things there. When you have worked with like clients,
Mhm.
what are you seeing as far as like themes or maybe things, as far as you've seen as far as limiting beliefs or mental blocks that people have that interfere with them attracting what they're desiring?
I think you're gonna talk about this on the next episode, but really the money is really the number one that I see. And,
Yeah.
oftentimes people have glass ceilings of like, I've only ever made this much and I've never made more. So I don't even know, is it possible that I can make more?
Yeah.
Or really struggling with the amount of energy that it takes to get the amount of money coming in. And so, um, I often have people do money work. We don't often talk about like, what did our parents teach us about money?
Yeah.
We don't often talk about what's our relationship to money in the sense of if we could see it like a friend, is it a
Mhm.
friend we like? Is it a friend we don't like to talk to? Is it like what kind of relationship do we actually have with our finances?
Mhm.
And the healthier the relationship, the easier it is to break through the glass ceiling, the easier it is to make money in ways that are easier and easier and easier.
Yeah. I definitely think that money is one of those things that people want to manifest, but they have a lot of baggage that maybe they may not understand that they have some limiting beliefs, and one of those might be, oh, I'm greedy if I get too much money. Like even things like that stop you from manifesting more, because if you think that those people are greedy, or if you believe certain things, then you won't be able to get there. Or it's all kinds of things that sometimes we learn from our parents as well, that, oh, you have to work hard in order to get money, or all kinds of different types of things that can keep you from moving forward. I think those same things with even like getting a job, or the person that you're desiring in life, or just simple things in life. I've seen people where they'll say, oh, you have to go through certain things in order to have these things happen. So they have in their mind, this is how things have to happen in order to get what they want.
Agreed. There's a saying like, you can't push on a string,
Mm,
right? And there's been many times in my life that I have been ready for a client to come in, and I've done the work, but I'm so focused on being ready that it just starts to create havoc. And so I'll take a vacation or a weekend off or a week off, and then there's an email in my inbox, right? So there's a
yeah.
very organic way that can happen. And for my clients, I work with a lot of CEOs and founders where they're all gas, no brakes. And that can be
Mm,
really detrimental to family, to health.
yeah.
And so one of the things that I think in limiting beliefs is it's okay to take time off, like take
Mhm.
longer vacations. In the US, I think the average person takes a week to 2 weeks, and in other countries, it's much longer. And I am a proponent of at least quarterly to take a
Mm,
week to 2 weeks off. And you might be really surprised what gets manifested when you have more bandwidth and more space in your body and your being.
yeah. I love that. One of the things that I've been discovering is one, I taking time for myself. So every 6 weeks, I go and get an hour and a half massage. I go
Yeah,
get my hair done. So
yeah,
just taking time for yourself, but also whenever I have big decisions or things that I'm dealing with, sometimes we immediately just jump in and like go, go, go. What I have found is stop, gain some clarity on the situation, actually slow down versus jumping in, because I gained so much more clarity by slowing down and allowing my unconscious, or the to be able to see the patterns, or to understand the things that really need to happen, but just taking a moment. And that's why, just how I started off the conversation, just taking that even minute before the next meeting, and having that breath of clarity allows you to be able to stay present, or have just a clearer mind with what it is that you're doing. But for me, over the past couple of years, I've really understood that taking that extra time to meditate and just have that silence, or even journaling, really allows you so much more clarity in what it is that you're wanting and where it is that you could possibly go.
I love it. And I just kudos to you. Like, you practice what you preach. Like, I've been on many podcasts. This is the first podcast I've been on that I was asked to be here a half hour early. And, we're behind the stage just hanging out. And that adds such a spaciousness that you know, even when the tech doesn't work in the double audio,
Yeah.
there's still a spaciousness of like, there's no panic involved. Like, if we showed up 1 minute before we were going to go live and that happened, I think both of us would have a lot of tension in our body. And so just really appreciate the way you run your show.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I try to look at it as, we do demos, for example. And so a lot of the things that I do are from a technical perspective and preparation. And I think that one of the things that we just saw an interview with Lindsey Vonn, who is an Olympic down uh, uh, skier, an
Mhm.
alpine skier. And one of the things that they talked about is, how do you manage risk? And her answer was simple, was control, focus on what you can control. And a lot of that has to do with preparation. And so the beginning of your show, in not coming in a panic, so
Mm.
having people come on early, and for us just to, I outline what it is, what the show is going to be like, what it's going to be. We talk about like the potential questions or things like that, but just sort of setting the stage, and then allowing at the very end to have time to breathe and go grab some water or go to the bathroom, or, those types of things. Like, it is important, the preparation of before you get to things, because that's one of the things you actually can control in your life, is the upfront time, or the upfront, strategy or thought into what it is that you're wanting to do. And that's one of the areas that I found to be very helpful, is looking at what you can control in life. And then, when things don't go well, you're now in a calm of, well, we're just going to go with it.
Nice.
So I
Yeah.
appreciate that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah. All right. We got a couple of other people that have given some comments. So Maria said, let it go. So let it go, let it go. She said is key.
Yes.
And then she said, we're energetic technology and need regular maintenance.
So true.
So I love that, Maria. And then Heather says, I really wish the US would lean more toward the European model, where they take at least a month of vacation every year, and it is mandated. Also, employers will not contact you at all while you are on vacation, because it is both culturally not accepted and illegal.
Yeah. Yes. With technology, everyone's tied to their phone, their email, their text message, their WhatsApp. It goes on and on and on.
Yeah.
And I do believe it's harder to tap in to the vibration of our natural manifesting rhythms when we're constantly inundated with reactions, whether that's notifications. My wife and I have a timer on our wireless, so our wireless pops off at 8 p.m. every night. It doesn't turn on until 6:30 in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't usually have phones in the bedroom. Like, it's really, I'm really inviting anyone that wants to manifest more to really think if you can unplug more, because the added technology sometimes is almost like the old school radio, where you're in between stations and you can't really get a clear tune.
Yeah, I love that. Someone else gave that analogy not too long ago. I'm trying to remember. I think it was Nate, but it made a lot of sense in, like, finding that right frequency whenever you're thinking about the things that you want to attract, because it's like attracts like. And so it's finding that right frequency for you in what it is that you're wanting to attract. But you have to allow the silence. You have to allow the ability to be able to really tap into, I say, the divine. One of the things that I talked about last week is that it really is about co-creation. It's not just about us. It's about calling upon the divine to be able to help us, whether it's universe, whether it's God, whether it's, whatever word that you want to use, but it's ultimately about co-creating with the universe and with divine, because you can't do it on your own. You really have to be in alignment with that frequency.
Yeah, and you have to, like, was it Maria? Someone just said, let it go.
Yeah.
And when I was in Portland, we knew we wanted to live in a small town. And so, as opposed to just say, we want to live in a small town, we went, and this is where the alignment happens with action, where we visited most of the small towns we wanted to live in. And we went to the coast of Oregon, and we went down south in Oregon, and we went to a place called Hood River. And when we came to Joseph, we just knew. And when we came here, we had a vision, and we had written it out, and it was 10 acres. And we found a property that fit everything we needed, except it wasn't wired and weld. And when we got into the budget, it would have been possible if we would have been in debt for the rest of our lives. And so we let it go.
Yeah.
And there was a property, one building off Main Street, and it was commercial, but it was an older building that really needed to be taken apart and recycled and then demoed. So we took this property and we built from the ground up. And the beautiful thing is there's a lot of ordinances on Main Street where your lighting has to look a certain way. You have to do certain things. You have to follow the code of whatever town you're in. And because we're one building off, we get all the benefits of Main Street with none of the responsibilities. And it's really worked out. We now are a fabric of the community. And we built it in a way where we live on the top floor and we have our wellness center on the bottom floor. And it's made everything easier because everything's, 15 minutes away if we need to get, certain things. And then everything is really walking distance because we're right downtown.
Mm-hmm. I love this. I also love that you and your wife manifest together. And
we do a lot.
I love that. I've done this recently with my husband and talking to him about what it is that he wants to manifest. What he wants to manifest is very simple. He's just like, I want to manifest golfing. I want to make like he has
I want to manifest a hamburger today.
Some beer and some chicken wings. Awesome. And so like his manifesting is like he just super simple in what it is that he wants. And here I'm like, oh, I want this, and it's like all these grand things.
Yeah, but that's a good combination. That's the yin and yang of it, right?
It is, yeah.
Yeah, the next thing we're manifesting, my wife's father has passed, but he was British. And so we're gonna look at getting the kids and my wife British citizenship, and then we're going to manifest an Airbnb in Scotland.
Ooh.
And I think that it's going to be a great kind of have two areas, and then to have those both a U.S. and a British passport, you can pretty much go anywhere.
I love that.
Yeah.
So I asked my daughter this question as well, and I said, imagine that you've won this amount of money, or you have this amount of money. Imagine your life. And she was thinking big.
Yeah.
She was like, she started thinking and she was like, I would just want to travel the world. She goes, you know what? I don't actually need a house. I just need an airplane that I can live in. She goes, that would be amazing where I could just travel in this, airplane, and it has a big bedroom and it has everything that I want. And so I just loved her creativity and what it is that she was imagining.
Yeah, she sounds like the next influencer. She travels the world on her airplane. She does a daily vlog. Yeah.
I actually just talked to her about that last night because I was talking with someone else, and I asked her, I said, would you want to be an influencer? And she said, yes. And I said, okay, here are some things we need to talk about. Like if you want to do that, but I really could see her being an influencer.
Yeah, it's a real job now.
Yeah, I know, it's crazy.
I think the older generation, like my mom, would have freaked out. She's like, well, you want to do nothing except be in front of your phone every day and your computer every day? Yeah.
Well, this is a consistent pattern of, as I've talked to her over time, originally she wanted our neighbor who loves food. She was like, I'll travel with her and she can be a food critic and we'll just go around. She goes, and I will test out the beds and tell people how amazing the beds are or aren't. She goes, I will go to all the fun places and tell them, where it is that they should go that is fun. And I was like, I like it.
Nice. Yeah. I mean, it's really endless. And the fact that with AI coming on board and really eating into a lot of different positions, I think it's the creativity that's going to be the counterbalance.
It is. I also think it's the connection and the authenticity that's going to be a differentiator in, as we're starting to look at AI. Like AI can do all kinds of things. Like it can generate an image like you and me, or someone that looks completely different, or sounds just like us. But I think what it will still not have is the raw, like you said, raw, authentic stories, and the real connection that people will crave, that will be missing from AI.
Mm. We were talking before the show started that I'm a big proponent of using AI for forces of good
Hmm.
rather than forces of evil. And I'm finding that it's a really good tool to use um, as a way to process emotion in the sense of what I've been doing is I've been songwriting with it. And so I will write out some lyrics and then I'll tell it a story and then I'll ask chat to ask me like 10 questions to finesse this. And then once I have the lyrics down, I give them some artists that I'd like it to sound like. And then I have it write a score for me.
Hmm.
And then I can take that information and I can put it into AI Songmaker and I can make songs that I want to listen to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually just posted something on my Facebook account that was it's a drummer and he tells AI, so for example, take Lose Yourself by Eminem, but
Mhm.
do it in a 50s soul,
I've seen
vibe.
that guy.
Oh my gosh. And I posted that because I was like, that's amazing. I was like, that's just so cool how it just took that song and completely uh changed the whole vibe of it.
Right. And, I talked about cassette tapes earlier, and I think people will say, well, but that's not like creative, or that's not, there'll be people that are against that for sure.
Sure.
And those are probably the same people that felt like CDs shouldn't replace cassette
Mm,
tapes, right? It's like it's happening. And
it
if you're
is.
using it for forces of good,
Mhm.
if you're using it for creative outlets, if you're using it for awareness, because the other day I got really tired of my chat being so kind to me. And so I said, I find that your responses are too empathetic and too kind. Can you please be more of a mentor? And it said, yeah, do you want to start right now? And I won't share what it said afterwards, but it was raw and truthful.
You gotta share it now. I mean, we are called BOYBAS and do have,
Oh, okay.
a
So,
cuss word in the title.
yeah, so I definitely have ADD or ADHD. I've created many things, but I'm a starter more than a finisher.
Mm,
And basically, it said, uh, you flip from thing to thing because I'll use chat for a lot of different things in my workplace.
mhm.
But then I'll be like, taking a 2-minute break and like, what are the best tires for my car? Right. So uh it says you go from thing to thing, and there's a huge difference between a spark and the energy it takes to run the engine. And
Oh.
that was the best thing it could say to me, because I was like, "Oh, yeah." And I used to have a system where I would write things down more, and it
Mhm.
said, "You have to start writing things down more."
Yeah.
And, um, it was just really gritty. I was like, "Yeah, bring it."
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I love that. All right, let's pull up. So Heather said, "Ooh, I love that idea. We have done that as well. What would our life look like if we had millions?" And what we found is that we don't really need much, and our life would look very similar to how it does now because we have intentionally, with changes, we have made to craft a life we love. So I
Nice.
love that for you,
That is
Heather.
beautiful. That's
Yeah,
beautiful.
Heather does a lot of traveling, as well, so, she's like, "Oh, I'm in Peru now," and
Nice.
so I just try to keep up with where she's traveling to. So, I wanna sort of end today with, if you had to give sort of final thoughts or final insights into manifesting or attracting, what would you leave the audience with?
Mm. It's a great question. I think I'd leave you with, as a listener or viewer, what did you love to do as a kid? What was your passion that you've
Mm,
just put in the closet or in the vault? And what's the simplest step forward in bringing that back out? Whether it
mm.
was dance or singing or writing poetry or going on hikes or, playing with Matchbox cars. What did you love to do? And how could you bring an essence of that back into your life now, like this
Mm.
month?
I love that. I think it is the childlike thoughts that sometimes we leave behind, that we don't take with us. And it's that curiosity, as you said earlier, that allows us to be able to think more like we did when we were younger, when we were carefree and we thought, we could do all kinds of things, like the possibilities were limitless.
Mhm.
And even some of the things that I've seen kids able to accomplish because they haven't been told, no, you can't do that. And I
Yeah.
think that that's the thing that sort of pushes us down to make us believe that we can't manifest. I think you hit the nail on the head on all of those limiting beliefs, and it's unlearning those things that we have been taught that keep us from really accomplishing and believing in ourselves that we can do anything.
Can I finish with one more story?
Absolutely.
And I know you say badass. Can you cuss on this podcast?
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
So my uncle, my favorite uncle, lives in British Columbia in Vancouver Island, and he had several young kids. And unfortunately, his wife uh, died in a car wreck. He became remarried, but he was the primary. And so there's 5 kids, and every time one of them would start high school, he would make their lunch, and he never made their lunch. Like, this was very out of the ordinary.
Mm,
And so they'd already be in a space of being surprised. And he would walk them to the front porch, which he also never did. And he said, I've made you lunch today. You're off to high school. There will be a lot of new people in your life that really feel that they know how you should live and the way you should be.
mm,
Don't let the motherfuckers get you. And he would hand them their lunch and they would walk on their way. And he did that with each child. And so
mm.
that message has lived with me, that there are always going to be people that are trying to drag you down or take pieces or through envy, jealousy, or just misunderstanding.
Yeah,
And don't let the motherfuckers get you.
I love that. I can't add anything more to that. That's amazing. And I think if we all took that approach in life to not let the motherfuckers bring us down, we would accomplish a lot more in life. So I love that. And so thank you, Jason, for joining us. I knew I was going to have a fabulous time with you today. So I really appreciate you joining us.
Appreciate being here. Yeah, just fun. I really appreciate the invite. I appreciate being here. Do you have show notes? I can always throw a LinkedIn if people want to just see where I am and what I do.
Yes, I would love that. And so I would love to be able to connect people with you. And I know connecting you with or them with you on LinkedIn. So I
Yeah.
think just providing a link to, would you just like a link to your LinkedIn profile?
Yeah, my LinkedIn profile, come say hello. I really like LinkedIn over all the other social media.
Yeah.
And if you want to hear my latest song, it's called Hard for the Holidays, and it's about growing
Mm,
up in 2 states during the holidays.
mm. Again, thank you so much, Jason. I really appreciate you joining us. I also just want to thank our audience for the amazing interaction. I just love how you guys add more to the show. And I really just appreciate you guys coming each week. I also want to let you know that next week we're going to have a panel on. So we're going to have Mike Bourgeois, who I just love, have worked with before, who's going to be joining us. And then a new person that I've not met. Her name is Debbie Heiser. And so we're going to continue the conversation of the law of attraction. And then we're going to be taking a week off for the holidays. And then we'll start back up in December with the law of compensation. So I want to invite you to have a badass Friday and weekend, and come into Monday with manifesting what it is that you're wanting in life. So take time to write it down, feel it, do all of the things that we talked about today to really get what you want in life. And as Jason said, don't worry about those, motherfuckers and what they, don't want for you in life. So don't let them push you down and tell you what you can't do. So Jason, again, thank you so much. Everyone have an amazing weekend.